All right, I want to do a quick video explaining resolution and how it relates to timelines and different size clips. So first of all, over here in the project folder, I've hit the tilde key. I get this lined up and I can see I have footage here that's 4000 by 2000, 1280 by 720, 1224 by 540, 780 by 480 standard def, 1920 by 1080 high def, and some more standard def. So I have a range of files in here of file sizes. One of the problems that can occur then is if I go into here and I create a new sequence, and in that sequence, let's say I make it a standard def sequence. This one's 720 by 556 standard def. And so I'm going to create that timeline. Now, when I grab one of my files that is a large resolution, this is a 4K video, and I drag it into that standard def file, it's going to come up with this command here that says this clip does not match the sequence settings, change sequence to match the settings. So I can either change the sequence to 4K or I can keep the existing settings. If I keep the existing settings, my file actually, in this case, the way I have mine set, adjusts, and so it is displaying and outputting at a lower resolution, even though it's a 4K. Now, the reason that did that is up here in Premiere Pro, Preferences, Media, right here, Default Media, set to frame size. So what happens is whatever media comes in, it sets it to frame size. If I turn it to scale frame size, or if I turn it to none, no scale was because it left those black bars on the side up here. But I'm going to turn it to none. And now I'm going to save that. I just have to zoom back and click OK. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo that setting. Now I'm going to drag that same file over there again and drag it in there. Now I should get the same communication, and I'm going to say no, keep the settings. And now what happened, this 4K image incorrectly scaled to the standard def sequence. When I go down here and 50%, if I click it, you'll see that my image is way out here. This is my image is way out here, right? So because it did not scale to image, so if you don't have that turned on, you'll get these great big images inside your small little file. In the same way, if I create another sequence, I'm going to escape out of that. If I create another sequence, now I'm going to go another new item, new sequence. And in this case, I'm going to go up here and I want to do see, we have a standard. I'll do just 1920 by 1080, right? At 30 frames a second, and I'll call this HD for high def. And now I have a high def sequence. If I go over and grab one of these files that's smaller than that, like this one, which was, I forget what it was. It's right here. It's 720 by 480. It's standard def. So if I drag this in here and drop it off, it's going to tell me the same thing as before. Change or keep. Now, I always would change if I wanted my sequence to be the same size as my files. But now when I keep this, what happens is it's little tiny inside the 1920 or HD. It's standard def inside the 1920. And zoom in, and I'm going to not scale, but I'm going to set to frame size. And I'm going to go OK. And so now, when I drop this file on here, let's see what happens. Keep existing settings. But it did. It set it to the right size. It zoomed it in. This happens to have black and white bars top and bottom and timecode. But pretty much any file now, here's a smaller file, but it should also zoom up. Let me just enlarge that. And it does. It fills the frame. And let's go to a big 4K file. And that also is scaled correctly. So, all right. So The key tricks are, number one, when you create a new sequence, pay attention to what you're creating. Number two, when you're in the video mode, here's video information right here. So I actually move that over. You can actually move these things around, and I sometimes will move the information right over there. So I can see it right away, the audio and what size my different clips are, particularly if I'm working with clips coming from multiple cameras and multiple sources. So pay attention to what size these are. And in general, when I bring a new clip in, I do want to rescale it, because in this case now I've made this sequence 4, right? It's now 4K, right? And so if I bring in a 2K piece in here, like this one, it will scale to fit, but it's enlarging it. So in general, we want to keep our files around the average or the smallest size of our working files. In other words, if I'm going to put out a hard HD 1920 by 1080, that's the size I want to work in, and I want to scale everything else to fit that, hopefully downward. If I do have a lot of standard def material, I should edit in standard def. For example, like this conversation piece. All right, I hope that helps out. Talk to you soon.